Hello and welcome back. We have been discussing about history of philosophy of mind, and in today's lecture we would discuss how philosophy of mind has had its impact on artificial intelligence or AI. This is Dr. Ananya Barua, Associate Professor, Department of Philosophy, Hindu College. The history of philosophy of mind intersects profoundly with the development of artificial intelligence. In this lecture, I will provide a brief overview of its evolution and impact. Now, when we talk about the historical evolution, we need to begin with the classical roots. With the classical roots, we have Plato and Aristotle. Early Greek philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle laid foundational ideas about the mind and its relation to the body. Plato's dualism considered the mind as separate from the physical body, while Aristotle's De Anima, or on the soul, proposed a more integrated view, emphasizing the mind as the form of the body. Besides Plato and Aristotle, when we slowly go ahead to the medieval times, we find thinkers like Augustine and Aquinas who integrated these classical ideas with theology, emphasizing the immaterial soul's role in cognition. Now, if we try to trace its impact on AI, we will see that from the classical roots and medieval times, these early debates raised questions about the nature of intelligence, the distinction between physical and mental phenomena, and whether a non-biological entity could have a mind. And that's when we can say the genesis of AI was sown. Now, coming to the early modern philosophy, we have Descartes' dualism, 17th century. Descartes distinguished between mind, res cogitans, and body, res extensa, framing the mind-body problem. He saw the mind as the seat of consciousness and reasoning. Going ahead, we have empiricism, where Locke, Hume, and others argued that knowledge arises from sensory experience, emphasizing associative processes in thought formation. Soon, we also have the materialism school, where Hobbes and others posited that mental phenomena could be reduced to physical processes. Now, Descartes' dualism sparked debates on the nature of consciousness and computation, while materialism paved the way for viewing cognition as mechanistic and potentially replicable. 19th century developments, we have Immanuel Kant's transcendental philosophy. Kant explored how mental faculties structure experience, emphasizing the active role of the mind. We also have psychology and neuroscience. The burgeoning fields of psychology and brain science began to provide empirical insights into mental processes. Further, the mechanistic views, such as the developments in logic and mathematics, the Boolean algebra, for instance, offered tools for formalizing reasoning. The impact on AI, the 19th century, provided the intellectual groundwork for cognitive science, emphasizing the interplay between structure and function in understanding thought. Now, slowly, when we come to the 20th century, we see that there has been a tremendous rise in AI. With behaviorism dominant in early 20th century, psychology behaviorism rejected introspection and focused on observable behavior, influencing early AI approaches like stimulus-response models. We also have cognitivism. In the mid-century, we see in the 20th century a shift towards understanding the mind as an information processor influenced by Turing's computation theory and the development of formal logic. The time as a machine, which is Alan Turing's 1950 paper, computing machinery and intelligence introduced the Turing test and framed intelligence as algorithmic. Further, when we talk about the philosophical challenges of the 20th century and the rise of AI, we see that there has been a consistent debate between dualism versus materialism. Philosophers like Gilbert Ryle critiqued Cartesian dualism, while others explored the implications of physicalism for machine intelligence. Here we find the emergence of consciousness to its peak. Thinkers like John Searle with his Chinese room argument and Thomas Nagel, What It Is Like to Be a Bat, debated whether machines could possess subjective experiences. Impact on AI. The mid-20th century saw AI flourish as a field heavily influenced by philosophical debates about computation, representation, and consciousness. Contemporary philosophy of mind and AI, we have functionalism, the view that mental states are defined by their functional roles, not their material composition, that aligns closely with AI's emphasis on algorithms over hardware. We also see the importance of embodied cognition here, where it challenges to traditional AI that emphasizes the role of the body and environment in shaping intelligence, impacting robotics and adaptive systems. Further, when we talk about contemporary philosophy of mind and AI, we definitely have to take into cognizance the importance of ethics and agency. Questions about machine morality, autonomy, and rights stem from philosophical inquiries into the nature of personhood. Consciousness and the heart problem. Ongoing debates about whether AI can achieve true consciousness, sparked by philosophers like David Chalmers, continue to shape AI research. So the impact on AI here, we see that these discussions influence AI design from neural networks inspired by brain function to debates about ethical AI and the potential for artificial general intelligence or AGI. The broader implications, thus, philosophy of mind has influenced AI by providing, say, conceptual framework, which is the theories about representation, reasoning, and learning underpin AI methodologies. Ethical guidance, philosophical debates about the nature of intelligence, autonomy, and consciousness inform discussions about AI's societal roles and limitations. So, the interplay between philosophy of mind and AI, as we see, has been a dynamic, reciprocal relationship. Philosophy provides foundational questions and concepts that guide AI research, while AI in turn offers new tools and experiments to test age-old philosophical inquiries about the nature of mind. Now that we have introduced the historical backdrop of philosophy of mind and its impact on AI, we will look at length the details on the same. The evolution of AI has been deeply intertwined with philosophical thought, as each stage of AI development has both drawn from and challenged philosophical ideas about the nature of mind, intelligence, and agency. Here's how AI has evolved over time philosophically. Early foundations, mechanistic views of the mind, philosophical roots. Philosophers like Descartes and Hobbes envisioned the mind as mechanistic. Hobbes described reasoning as computation, laying an intellectual foundation for thinking of intelligence as a mechanical process. Early AIs, 1940s to 1950s, has been definitely inspired by Turing's 1936 concept of a universal machine, and researchers like Alan Turing proposed that machines could mimic human reasoning. His famous 1950 paper introduced the Turing test, a philosophical and practical challenge to the idea of machine intelligence. This era drew heavily on functionalism, the idea that mental states could be understood by their functions rather than their physical implementations. The early foundations, the mechanistic views of mind, certain key questions like could intelligence emerge from symbol manipulation and logic alone? The symbolic era, reasoning machines, AI development 1950s to 1970s. Early AI systems focused on symbolic reasoning and formal logic. Programs like the Logic Theorist and ELIZA showcased limited forms of problem solving and natural language interaction. We see the philosophical influence where in this era leaned on Cartesian dualism and rationalist traditions, viewing the mind as a reasoning entity that manipulates abstract symbols. John Searle's Chinese Rome argument, 1980, critiqued this view, arguing that symbolic AI lacks understanding as it merely follows rules without grasping meaning. The key question thus is, does manipulating symbols equate to understanding or intelligence? In the third phase, we have cognitive revolution, where AI meets psychology. AI development, 1970s, 80s. AI began incorporating ideas from cognitive science, focusing on understanding how humans process information. This period saw the rise of heuristic-based problem solving and expert systems. Philosophical shift. Influenced by cognitivism, philosophers debated whether AI systems mirrored human thought processes or were merely imitative. Connection to functionalism. Functionalists argued that mental states are defined by their roles in a system, reinforcing the idea that AI could replicate the mind if it replicated functional roles. The key question, is the human mind just an advanced information processing system? The fourth phase, Connectionist revolution, neural networks, AI developments, 1980s, 90s. AI moved away from rigid symbolic systems towards neural networks inspired by the structure of the brain. This era emphasized learning from data rather than predefined rules. Philosophical evolution, we see Connectionism challenged the symbolic view of the mind by proposing that cognition arises from networks of interconnected units. Embodied cognition, philosophers began arguing that intelligence is rooted not just in the brain but in the interaction of body and environment, influencing robotics and adaptive systems. The key question thus is intelligence an emergent property of networks, or does it require predefined structures? In the fifth phase, we come to the modern AI, machine learning and beyond. AI development, which is from 2000 till present. Modern AI, driven by machine learning and deep learning, focuses on pattern recognition, prediction, and decision making using vast amounts of data. Examples include GPT, AlphaGo, and autonomous systems. Philosophical challenges, ethics and biasness. Philosophers grapple with AI's impact on fairness, privacy, and accountability. Consciousness is yet another challenge that it faces. Advances in AI have reignited debates about whether machines can ever achieve self-awareness or subjective experience. Creativity. AI-generated art and literature challenge traditional notions of human uniqueness in creativity. The key question: does advanced pattern recognition equate to intelligence, or is it just statistical mimicry? The sixth phase: emerging concerns, general intelligence and beyond AI development, future directions. The pursuit of artificial general intelligence or AGI systems capable of human-level reasoning raises profound philosophical questions. Philosophical frontiers, the existential risk. Thinkers like Nick Bostrom warns about super-intelligent AI surpassing human control, and that is a real risk and existential crisis that philosophers have been mulling over. The second is AI and personhood. Can advanced AI systems be moral agents or deserve rights if they exhibit autonomy or consciousness? Or the question is, how do we go beyond that? What then is the personhood of AI? Third, philosophical frontiers speaks about simulation argument. That is, AI has deepened philosophical discussions about whether our reality could itself be an advanced simulation. Thus, the key question here is, how do we define intelligence, personhood and morality in a world with increasingly capable machines? Philosophical themes across AI evolution, some of them could be about reductionism versus holism. The key question again is intelligence reducible to algorithmic processes, or does it require a holistic integration of body, environment and society? Representation versus emergence. Should AI focus on symbolic representation of knowledge, or can intelligence emerge from statistical and neural methods? Ethics and purpose. How do we align AI's capabilities with human values? And what moral obligations arise as machines become more autonomous? So we see that the philosophical evolution of AI mirrors humanity's ongoing quest to understand itself. AI challenges core ideas about what it means to think, feel, and act, forcing philosophers to revisit ancient debates about mind and consciousness, while addressing urgent questions about ethics and agency in a rapidly evolving technological landscape. Further, we will be seeing how philosophers have actively engaged with primary sources, both foundational texts in AI and key developments in AI technology itself, to examine its philosophical implications. A discussion of some philosophers and their engagement with these sources, we find Alan Turing from 1912 to 1954. The primary source that Turing had authored was Computing Machinery and Intelligence, 1950. Here in this book, Turing had introduced the concept of the Turing test to assess machine intelligence and discussed the potential of machines to think. Also, we see that in this very work, Turing discusses the philosophical engagement. That is, Turing's paper is itself a philosophical work grappling with questions about the nature of thought and intelligence. His ideas have been critically analyzed by later philosophers such as John Searle and Daniel Dennett. We will be further seeing more such works of philosophers who have a huge role to play on the history of philosophy of mind and its impact on AI besides Alan Turing in our next lecture. Thank you so much.